Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Commission Breath. Brandon Love here with Tom Moffat. And today we are going to do a deep dive into email marketing. And before you turn this off, there's going to be a little something there for everyone. So we're going to touch on some of the phases you can implement from the level of a beginner all the way up to an expert. So pick and choose, kind of identify where you're at, and then start to implement some of the stuff because it will have a positive impact on your book of business.
I would be willing to bet that the majority of listeners are probably beginner level and they might think they're intermediate. I've got my own opinion as to like what an expert level email marketer is. And I think it's very hard to get there, but there's still those like traditional old school brokers who are still doing like the typical newsletters that are going out from like their national brokerage. And then you have some people that are kicking up a notch and maybe going with some like VIP club or breaking bank. So you're getting there, but not many people are at that expert level where you're sending out an email once a week, which a lot of brokers think that's crazy. I'll tell you my opinion on it, but why don't we go full circle here, start at the beginning and talk about beginner level. I'm curious to hear what you think beginner level would be for a broker.
Yeah, so I would actually say that without you, I would be a beginner level just for how I run my business. What I do right now is one realtor email once a week. That's basically it. In partnering with you, we've added layers to that I think moves us up the scale. But prior to that, I was operating as a beginner level in terms of email marketing. The rest of my prospecting, I largely did on text and phone calls. And that's how I ran things. It still works, but I can see now the value of adding these additional layers. So I think beginner email is like you have your one email that you draft, you write it, you structure it, it goes out. I think if you go before that and you're just sending out the templated one from your brokerage, you're not even really email marketing. You're just
You're hurting yourself, dude.
Yeah, you're doing more damage.
Yeah. 5 things you need to do in spring market to spruce up your home, like that kind of garbage. Yeah, you're going to hurt yourself. People are going to unsubscribe and forget about you. We haven't even really chatted about this, about like our main strategy, because we're changing a lot of shit up. And that's a great point you made. You've got your referral partners and you also have your clients. And we still haven't structured what we're going to do going forward. For years, we've been doing the one email a week for realtors and for our main like database marketing for our clients and any emails we collect through anything. They were going on VIP Club and most recently Breaking Bank for the last couple months. And if you aren't familiar with Breaking Bank, the people that are subscribed to it, they get an email once a week. So that's a lot of emails, which is great. And it's good content. And for the people that aren't subscribed to it, they're still going to get one email a month. And it's a full guide on like a financial strategy. And they have the chance to opt in for the once a week email if they want to access the guide. So that's how Breaking Bank works. And we started doing that a couple months ago. But it wasn't until recent, since like the social media thing started coming into play for me, where I was like, I'm collecting a lot of emails right now. Breaking Bank's great, but I also want to have my own drip campaign promoting us and our products and make it more personalized because people following me on social media know me for me. So that's what we started pivoting towards. I'll stop there if you want to like add in anything about like realtors or anything that chatted about.
No, I think that's good. So I think beginner is just like, you're doing your one basic, you're consistent with it. You're not writing novels, you're not doing anything crazy. It might be a video, it might be a little bit of text. It's quality content, but it's largely just rinse and repeat. Same things come out year over year around certain timeframes. Get your T4 in now, we can requalify you, yada, yada, yada. That sort of stuff. It's a good beginner level. I think intermediate level, you get to layering in some of those tools you touched on. So you have the VIP club, you have that sort of quiz-based additional marketing. You add Breaking Bank, which is another done for you service. So at the intermediate level, you're still doing all the steps of the beginner, but you're layering on these done for you services. And it's increasing the number of your outreaches. It's also changing the variety up. So your message might resonate with a realtor, a Breaking Bank might resonate with a client. So you're touching more of your audience. And then I think that's kind of where, once you go past that, is where you get into more of the expert territory.
Yeah, and as a side note, if you haven't listened to our previous episodes, we've talked ad nauseum about realtor emails we send out once a week. Go to those episodes. I can't really recall what numbers they are, but we've talked about it quite a bit. And at least if you are into the realtor game, you should have something going out to them once a week. And that's where I wanted to chat with you about, because now that we're doing the drip campaign that I'm setting up right now, it's going to be one email a week, and it's to our whole database of emails that we have, including our referral partners. So my question to you is, should we still be sending out one email a week separately to our referral partners and during my drip campaign?
Yeah, so I don't know. I think like that's a tough one, because I think that there's a lot of like market research that says you can send multiple emails and people won't unsubscribe. You won't lose people. But then I think of myself as a consumer and I try to reverse the roles. And I think when I get several emails a week from someone, I'm like, okay, chill a bit. Like there's certain lenders that send out like 3 emails a week. And I'm like, dude, relax. Like it's not going to change the volume of business I send you. And you're just kind of annoying me at this point. So I don't want to be that nuisance to the partner. But then in the same token, it's like, if there's a layer that's quality enough for them to be flagged on it, I think it's worth sending an additional one. So your like drip campaign might touch on an advanced mortgage strategy. There might be a rate announcement where we give them the template to send all of their clients. That's a good week to double up. A week like this week where everyone's kind of in May 2-4 mode, like everyone's just trying to get through their week. I don't think you double up this week. It's a time and place kind of thing.
I was actually just going to say that is they can be one-offs. You don't have to follow that cadence of once a week to the referral partners outside of the drip campaign. And the power of that is, let's just say it ends up being like once a quarter. You're just doing it on occasion when it's actually very timely and necessary. The chances of them opening that is going to be much higher, because they're like, oh, okay, like I only get this one email. And in particular, it's our shared email that would go to the referral partners. They're going to know to open it. They're going to want to open it because it's something that they think is going to be important. Not saying that the drip campaign isn't important, but it's a bit different, because what I'm building out with the drip campaign is the advanced strategies that we're teaching. And naturally, they're going to be interested in that stuff too. Like I've had a lot of realtors reach out for the cash scamming stuff for their own portfolio and questions for their clients. So I'm naturally going to have people reach out. And then for the shared email that we have, that we do the one-offs through YAMM, that's going to be specific to like the market updates or mortgage updates, rates, anything along those lines. So I like that.
Totally. I subscribe to Alex Hormozy's emails. I never delete them, but I don't always read them as he sends them. So sometimes I'll have like a Saturday where I have an hour or two, I'm just having a coffee, and I just batch read and take notes on his emails. And I know a lot of our realtor partners do this, because like people will be like, hey, I just read your email. And I'm like, oh, I sent that like 3 months ago. And they're like, yeah, I just put it all in a folder.
Cool.
And then they read it or they watch the video. So definitely like the information is valuable enough to not discard it. It's not like Brandon's recipes for weed brownies. It's quality mortgage content, right? So
I think people always want that.
I actually don't know how to make them. So you're on your own there. I digress. So the key piece with this is, as you're adding the layers and as you're adding the intensity as well, you have to be consistent with the quality of them. If you're consistent with the sending of them, but the quality is not there, people will stop reading them. You know, you have really great quality, but you don't send them enough. They don't remember you enough. So you need to be consistent, and it needs to be quality. That's the key recipe to this. And I think that's the challenge and where people fall off. It's really easy to implement something for a month. It's very hard for month 8, 9, 10, or even like using this podcast as an example. We're over 100 episodes in. Sometimes we're coming to a week and we're like, we're busy, we're tired, we don't feel like recording. It would be very easy to skip then, but we have to find another gear, and we try to think, okay, what's going to be valuable? What's important for brokers to learn now? What are people needing to implement in their business? And that always brings us back down, and we come up with an idea. It actually helps our business through doing this process. But the focus is always on being able to be consistent first off, but then also making sure that it's of value.
If I had to pick out quality versus consistency, then I would be picking quality first. Once I have the quality dialed in, then I would keep upping the frequency without sacrificing that quality. And that's like a tip out of Hormozy. Speaking of him, like he mentioned that he's like, hey, I don't want to commit to doing a weekly email because I'm forced to write something that might not be quality. I would rather just send out the email when something comes to mind that's of value that my audience would like. And that's the approach I'm taking with the drip campaign. But the nice part about a drip campaign is if it's evergreen content, if I am inspired one day, I'm like, I have 3 or 4 great topics, I can bang those out, put it into the drip campaign and put it on that weekly cadence, which is what I'm doing. And that way it is going out once a week and you still have that quality.
Yeah. And just a sidebar here with everything we're talking about, the consistency and quality. If you're at the before beginner, where you're just sending your brokerage newsletter to beginner, just start. Like, don't be so critical on yourself of this needs to be a great email or this needs to be perfect. I need quality. I need everything right at the gates. Just start your first couple ones. I used to always send a weekly video. I go back and watch them. Sometimes they're terrible. It doesn't matter. You just need to get the ball rolling. A lot of what I see is people take notes, they write email list ideas, they write email drafts, they do all of this like quote unquote research, and they never implement. You need to put your first version out there and then build off of it. You're not going to get to the level of expert if you don't ever get those first couple reps in.
Yeah, that's very true. It's hard because you want it to be quality, but you have to go through shit to get better at the craft. And so that's where the frequency comes into play. That's like anything, like posting videos on social, same thing. And I would say though, like if you are going to start emailing your database, you should have an intro. Like if you haven't been emailing anyone, you should have an intro, like reintroducing yourself and why you're going to be sending emails and why it's of value for them. And before doing that, I would have a second one drafted, ready to go. So that way you're not sending out an intro email and then the next one goes out 2 months later. It's like, oh, this, like, what the heck is this? They're going to forget, right? You want to have at least 2 or 3 batched. And that's my approach to what I'm doing with the drip campaign.
Nice. Okay. I like it. So we've alluded to it several times. Level Expert obviously has some element of drip campaign in there. So Tom, why don't you take that away?
You can be crazy and go super dialed in on specifying your avatar and the different people that come through your funnels. For example, on social, if I'm posting cash jamming, I can have it automatically tagged as someone that's interested in cash jamming when they download a resource and go through a specific drip campaign on cash jamming. I do have one built. I might do that because I am like focusing on cash jamming. But for now, everyone's going into one funnel to keep it easy for me, because if I was trying to make it super intricate and complicated, I wouldn't get to it. So I would consider myself intermediate as of right now, building out this drip campaign. Expert maybe would be doing that weekly cadence, but you also have those specific funnels, but then it gets complicated. For mortgage brokers, you probably don't have to go that route. I think if you just funnel everyone in to a weekly cadence and you just grow the shit out of your list as fast as possible, you're going to get business.
Okay, cool. Let's touch on some of the tools for each category. So kicking things off, beginner level, the number one tool we use is YAMM, stands for Yet Another Mail Merge. So it's spelled YAMM with 2 M's. It allows you to send one-to-one. Really simple. You just download YAMM, you build a Google Sheet with like first name, last name, email. And in your email draft, you have it written as like, hey, first name, body of email, etc. And then you send it through that sheet through this YAMM extension, and it will say like, hey, Tom, da 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 da. It reads one-to-one. It's really nice and clean. Visually, I'm a huge fan of it. You can send test emails to yourself to make sure it looks nice. So that's like level 1.
With YAMM, it's great for that one-to-one. Like it's perfect for your referral partners because your list likely isn't over 1,000. But if you are trying to use it for your database, we came into this problem before where we were trying to use YAMM for our full database, and you can't because you have a limit of 1,500 people a day that you can send YAMM through. So you can do it in chunks, but then it just becomes a huge pain if you're trying to send YAMM to your, say you have a database of 5,000 people, and you're trying to chunk it every day. I tried to do that once. I'm like, this is insane, and like so much work to try to like cut the list and make sure you're not sending to the same people twice. So that's the only drawback with YAMM. But if you have a small database, it's great. I love it.
So yeah, the level above that, once your database does exceed the capacity of YAMM, is to use a tool like MailChimp, or we use BrokerMail, which is like MailChimp, but designed just for brokers. Tango agents get it for free. So it's something that we integrated with that we love. But that's kind of where you want to go, because then you're not capped by exceeding on the restrictions of the amount of people that can receive it.
Yeah, and you can build those drip campaigns through BrokerMail too. Pretty much anything you can do on MailChimp, you can do through BrokerMail, which is nice.
Okay, so going to the next phase of intermediate. let's jump into the tools and resources you would use there.
This is a personal preference, but I personally use Kit for my personal emails going out for the drip campaign. And that's just because of how we had to organize things. Because on social, this is kind of going down the rabbit hole, but the future of social media is founder-led marketing, where you're a personal brand and you pick your topic, your niche, which for me is advanced mortgage strategies and some broader topics. And from there, you funnel people to your businesses. So for us, it's our mortgage biz. You can kind of count as one, mortgage biz in our consulting. And then you also have TANGO. Any brokers or agents that consume my content, they can get funneled to TANGO as well. So founder-led marketing led me to go to Kit because I want to separate it from our actual North Shore, our mortgage email. Because people on social media, when they find me, they're not going to know what North Shore mortgage is. So that's why I wanted to do it that way. But you can just stay with BrokerMail at this stage because most people aren't doing that many things at once. But Kit's great because there's some other features you have access to. You can do advanced tagging. I personally love it. And that's really it. I wouldn't really add any more to that from an email marketing tool perspective.
Okay. And then when we talk about the done for you services, we use VIP Club, also given to Tango agents for free, and Breaking Bank. So Breaking Bank is Jason Henneberry, one of our partners, his newest creation. It's really detailed articles and guidebooks and stuff like that you can give your clients and they love it. So that's kind of like your phases. We won't go into the expert rabbit hole because really the expert rabbit hole, I think, is just getting really dialed in on segmenting, making sure you have all those tags set up and you're utilizing a lot of these same tools, but you're just going really granular on it and you're exceeding the scale of it. Broad level tools that help in all categories. ChatGPT is great for coming up with content, also running your email through chat, just making sure like, hey, make this more persuasive. Hey, remove like the filler words, like just that little stuff. So get your first draft in there, allow chat to iterate, and then you edit off of that. I find that's helpful no matter what level you're at.
That's a great point. I completely forgot about ChatGPT when that's like the one thing I'm using right now to create my emails. And what I'm doing is I have my social media custom GPT that I built out. So I was starting to build out separate email marketing custom GPT. Everything I'm doing right now is aligning with my social media. So I actually combine the two into one custom one. And it's just my email marketing brain is what I call it, Tom's marketing brain. So it's anything I need to do for social content, for emails, I'll just tell it the subject and the topic that I want to talk about, and it'll build out my hooks, my video script if I want one, and an email draft for me to use on that specific topic. So it sounds like a lot to build out, and it is a bit of time up front, but once you have that built out, it's so much easier to batch emails at a time.
Yeah, and these are all little projects that don't take more than half a day. Like, obviously, if you build out a drip thing with 100 emails, it might take you a bit more time, but getting the ball rolling does not take more than half a day. So, do your yard work on Saturday before you tuck into that bottle of wine and steak. Do a little bit of work on your business, and you can have this rocking and rolling and be ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. You can bang out like 4 quality emails in an hour, and that's generous if you're using ChatGPT. And that's 4 weeks. You just give yourself a month of time with an hour, and it's quality content. And especially if you're building a GPT, you can upload a bunch of resources. Like if you're going the advanced strategy route, you can upload all of that. If you're someone that loves guidelines with underwriting and all that jazz, you can upload guidelines that you have from lenders and stuff and put it in your GPT and use that so it understands the guidelines for your emails that you're sending out.
Yeah, for sure. Overarching email content, couple things I recommend is sell more with emotion, not logic. Show examples of how you've helped people achieve things. Show the wins, show these kinds of things versus being like, you can get money to renovate. It's like, cool, awesome. Why don't you show how a renovation actually impacted someone's life? So try to reframe that way, especially if you're not getting engagement or getting any good feedback on the emails you're currently doing. You might just have to change your tone and your tact a little bit. Beyond that, it's really just the kind of thing that I would say, get the ball rolling, try to improve each time on your quality. Maybe send it to another broker, ask for their feedback, ask your realtor partners, do you find value in this? After financial advisors, say like, am I hitting kind of the nail on the head with what you're looking for? Or is there more you're looking for from this email. And then just keep improving, iterating, and time after time, you will get to a better product. And the beauty of this is once it's done, a lot of this content can be recycled and reused year after year. So it's not something that you have to constantly create. You're building an asset that is a long-term value for your business. And that email list is hugely valuable to your business long-term.
Yes. And it's funny, we didn't even touch on best practices, but you hit the nail on the head. If you're structuring an email, in my opinion, I feel like most of it should be all quality. And then if you had a call to action at the end, do it as like a PS line. And for me, a lot of my content, I'm doing text only. If I have a full video on it, then I'll hyperlink that full video at the end. And usually my full videos have call to actions within itself. And at the bottom of the email, for all of my emails, I have 2 ways I can help you. And both of them are linking to our businesses. So
nice. Love it. All right. I've gotten several messages from those of you who are asking about the Ask Challenge. I don't know if you're counting it as your ask, but that's funny if you are. We are, as of this recording, halfway through May. So we're coming up on the final home stretch of it. I've been consistent with it. I've got my checklists here. It's working. We will be releasing the Ask kind of database to our Tango agents. We'll probably drop some teasers to the rest of you who aren't with us, just so you can see the value there as well. But highly recommend implementing a version of that if you haven't already. But I'm going to use one of my asks today and just ask that if you found value in this episode, to share it with a friend in the brokering community.
Love it. Last thing I'll say on the ask portion is that the nicest part about it is I don't even really think about doing it now. It's just become a muscle.
Yeah, totally. All right, guys. Catch you next week. Cheers. Bye.